Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today we're going to do a mailbag. I love doing mailbag episodes. A while ago we posed a question with regards to what it's like waking up, where you are, how you're feeling it, how you're seeing it, how it's manifesting for you, all that fun stuff. And we got a bunch of great statements back. We got a bunch of really cool emails and some short stories. We're going to do the top 5 right now. I'm going to read what these guys have said, and I'm going to answer their questions as best I can. Ladies and gentlemen, too, if you haven't already, head over to thementalmasteryalliance.com and check out our chatbot. We've had some fun with this. We're programming it, constantly updating it. It has less rules than ChatGPT. Is really cool. I'm trying to figure out a way to get it into the darker side of the internet so we can start pulling some sort of, loophole. There's loopholes in this thing, and we're doing our best to sort of program this bot to figure out and spot things, spot patterns. So give you answers that are conspiracy based, as it were, but rooted in fact and logic and neat things. So, like, prime example, it's like, we all know sports is rigged. This bot will talk to you about it. And this bot will work with you to figure out a way to capitalize on the majority of what a rigged event looks like and how it could lean in your favor. And I'm not advocating gambling. I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm saying let's play and beat the system, the very system that's designed to mess with your head. If I sound weird today, and even last week, I am recording remote. So all of my gear is top quality, but I'm so used to being open with my voice where I can scream at the top of my lungs and it never really comes across or never breaks the mold. Here, I have to kind of keep my voice to a certain decibel so I don't spike. So you're getting a different sounding version of me the past couple weeks. Anyhow, here to have some fun. Let's jump right into the mailbag. Ladies and gentlemen, first question is from Tyler M. in Calgary, Alberta. Fun fact. So this episode is live on Monday, the 11th of May, and I arrived in Calgary on the 5th of May. We take off on the 19th. So technically, once this episode goes live, I'll be flying back to Ontario tomorrow. I hope I'm enjoying myself. Tyler M. from Calgary. He says, Adam, I feel like something shifted in me over the past year. I don't see things the same way anymore. The problem is now I feel disconnected from almost everyone around me. Conversations feel surface, forced, fake. How do I handle relationships when I feel like I've outgrown the way people think? This is a big one, man. This is one of those ones where it's like you don't expect it, because waking up is one of those things where it's a progression of understanding, comprehension, and knowledge. And so a lot of the times you see like this hippy dippy community, and it sounds weird for me to say that, but I'm not involved in the hippie community. I'm not involved in the movement. I don't believe that we need to cosplay as a certain thing, because one of the most predominant, prolific facts is about awareness, awakening, enlightenment, however you want to look at it. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Where you're carrying the water to is different, but that you're chopping the wood is also the same. So you think about this. The wood still needs to get chopped, but which fire you put that wood into is maybe a little bit different. You still have to carry the wood. You still have to chop the wood. You still have to do all that stuff. Waking up and having relationships, what happens here is your brain does this thing where it sort of connects a lot of dots right away. And you intrinsically follow your intuition. I've never met somebody that has bad intuition wake up. I've never met one of these people yet. So if you're starting to wake up, trust the fact that you have amazing intuition. and that shit just isn't lining up, which also is where a lot of depression comes from. When, and this is something that I can't state legally. I also don't have that button to press, but I will say this, so legal disclaimer. If you are to soundbite this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for quality and consistency purposes. I still like my button better. It's dry here. I can hear it in my own voice. It's a little bit, I got a bit of a dry voice. Depression is one of those things that shows up when you're out of alignment. So before you start waking up, you literally slip into a depression because none of this shit's making any sense. None of anything that you're doing and dealing with makes any sense. And that is massive. So you lose interest in, your favorite sports team. You lose interest in music. You lose interest in television, all that sort of stuff, because you realize that it's all bullshit. And you realize that the majority of it's lies too. When you start looking at the news and you're seeing things like everybody's all proud of 14-minute cities or 50-minute cities, whatever it is, you realize that these people are cheering on their own deeper and tighter imprisonment. And then when you get even deeper into it, you realize that nobody's cheering on shit. That everything is just energetic or ideological manipulation to make you believe a certain thing. I mean, this is one of the first things that I caught on to years and years ago before I even believed I was waking up, was that you see something like, majority of people really liked this movie. And it's a shit movie. And you realize that, no, they didn't. You realize that it's at these moments in time where you realize that media's been lying to you from the get-go. And so your brain will start connecting all of that stuff. And yeah, Tyler M. from Calgary, Alberta. It's weird. And you will outgrow a lot of your friends. But the cool thing is your real true friends, the people like the soul contracts that you're on this journey with, they'll stick around. And you'll get to meet new people. So yeah, unloading who you are. And this is one of the things too. We live in a world where we're absolutely terrified to let go of the good to grab the great. And I'm not saying drop your friends. I'm just saying naturally things will weed themselves out. It gets awkward and complicated when it comes to your parents as well, because you really want them to be a part of it. And what I've experienced here is more comprehension of self through understanding about my parents. But also, my mother is coming along to certain things. She is a little bit different. So I know that if with a little persistence on my part, it works out well. But she'll never be, quote unquote, who I want her to be, but she's not supposed to be. She's supposed to be an edge that's very close to me that allows me to sharpen my own edge. And that's what's really cool. So it is your experience, Tyler, and utilize it with the utmost integrity as best you possibly can. But understand that everything's coming and happening for you, and it's going to be a really cool thing once you start piecing your own bits together, once you pull yourself out of the group think or that sort of ish mentality. It gets so much better, so much more cool, and so much more personal. The movie starts really truly feeling like it's about you. What do we have here? Number 2, Danielle R. from Tampa, Florida. Let's see here. I'm waking up to a lot of things, and honestly, it's exciting, but also terrifying. Some days I feel like I'm expanding and growing, and other days I feel anxious and almost paranoid. How do I know I'm not just losing it? Well, for you to lose it, you would have had to have had it. And everything that I understand right now is whatever we thought we had was the beginning stages, the foundation and the fundamental groundwork of what we're growing into. And so it's like, if you think about high school or grade school altogether, like just school, you have grade 1 through grade 12. You never think about the desk you sat in grade 1. And even if you went back to your grade 1 classroom and nothing had changed, and some of the times that happens, you still see the alphabet on the wall and you're like, what the fuck? That was so cool back then. But now I'm like, I already know the alphabet. I don't need to see that. Also, I can't sit in that desk anymore. It just does not fit me. So the anxiousness and the paranoia and the growing and all that sort of stuff, you're not losing your mind. You're progressing. And anxiety is one of those things that is a precursor. Anxiety and depression are two elements, again, that show up when you're out of alignment. And when you're out of truth, when you start grabbing at things that are fake. And remember, too, that in this world, in this realm, in this reality, you're not born into it. You're born out of it. So all of the experiences you have are the very thing that create the version of you that you came here to become. And to me, that's dope as hell. So the growth, the progression, the forward momentum, the forward advancement, what you're doing, how you're doing it, it's weird. It's weird because it's not something that we've ever done. But at the same time, everything that you've ever done is also something that you've never done for the first time. So the education started the minute we got into this realm. And our variations and levels and ideologies behind what we think it is expand and grow as we grow. So we needed to learn about the bullshit geography in high school to understand that that's probably not correct. Right? We needed something as a baseline for us to wake up from. We also needed something as a baseline to go so absurd that we were supposed to see through it. Because if everything stayed the way it was and we never grew and everything was just easy enough, we never would have grown. And the whole purpose of being here is to grow. Not for everyone. The NPCs have, their own business, their own thing, whatever. There's characters. And you think about this like your favorite movie. There's the main characters, and then there's the sub-characters, and then there's the background characters. And a lot of this world and this realm, has to do with the background characters. If they didn't exist, it'd be hard for you to go to a restaurant if there was no one there to serve you. So some people can say, well, how do you know that the server isn't the main character? Well, that's the case. The server is the main character of their life. And if they're waking up, cool. What the server's going to do is connect with people on the server's frequency. What the cook is going to do is connect with people on the cook's frequency. Every single person is running their own version and variation of a game. And the main thing that we can do throughout this entire experience is just generally not be a dick. And then from there, everything will play itself out. And you'll be able to see, absorb, embrace all of the new and cool things. So no, you're not losing it. You never had it. You're actually gaining it, which is kind of an oxymoron, but it's really cool. All right. Question number 3. Marcus, Toronto, Ontario. Toronto. That's how you know somebody's not from Toronto. Toronto. You hear the difference? That's the difference. A true Torontonian is like, yeah, we're from Toronto. Trana. Marcus says, I'm starting to question everything I was taught, from school to media to just how life is supposed to work. But now I don't know what to trust. If everything might be wrong, how do I decide what's actually real or worth believing? Fuck, loaded question, Marcus. This one is one of those things where now your intuition really comes into play. You're not supposed to trust everything blindly. You're not supposed to trust anything. And what you can do too is watch for the patterns, because the patterns never lie. So unless, of course, they started manipulating the patterns, then, of course, the patterns would be a lie. But you can do that. I mean, when I say manipulating the patterns, there's things like that episode of South Park. I can't remember the exact episode, but it was the Hardley Brothers episode. I don't know where it is. You guys can look that up if you want to. But the idea and the premise being somebody took a shit in the urinal, and it starts off as the investigation as to who took a shit in the urinal. Flash forward towards the end of the episode, they're all standing in the White House, and President Bush is dropping conspiracies on them. And he said, oh, absolutely. He's like, we created the mainstream narrative, and if you didn't want that or like that, then we created the tinfoil hat narrative. Speaking of tinfoil hats, head on over to the mentalmasteryalliance.com and get your very own tinfoil hat. Add insertion complete. So the implication was that they created all stories, and that makes the most sense to me. So even when you think you're trying to break free from something and find something else, remember, if it's handed to you, it's intentional. If you're allowed to know about it, it's intentional. And what I mean by that is things like, if you look at any of the new footage from the, I guess it's not, well, I mean, it's new, but not new now because this happened weeks ago. But when the Artemis 2 landed, why would they do things like put visuals of the Artemis 2 hitting the water? Why would they allow that to happen? Because anything that's at 500,000 degrees or whatever the hell they said it was would have steamed the ocean up completely, and that never happened. And then, of course, I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason to that. But remember, every single person that's talking to you, that's defending the actual narrative, they're not doing any of the work. The only thing that they're doing is allowing you to utilize them to question more for yourself. And what I mean by that is these people aren't, like, they're going to come at you and they're going to come aggressive and they're going to say, oh, you're a tinfoil hat, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're an idiot. Because remember, people that don't have the ability to wake up don't have the ability to think. And this is a true and heavy statement for the NPCs. These are the aggressive people. These are the people that believe in inclusivity, and they will destroy you and kick you out and burn down your village if you don't agree with the exact same things that they agree with. Right? These people aren't real. They're not. I mean, I'd love to get one on the show, that's for sure. But they're not real people. They are public activists that you often see on television. They are keyboard warriors that are either bots or programmed to chirp. But what I'm saying is, once you start asking these true questions, once you start really hammering it out, you realize that things. I don't think I've made this any easier. I think I've made it more complicated. But things are really heavily based on your gut intuition. They're heavily based on your ability to extrapolate all of the information that you've had and come to a plausible conclusion. And at the same time, be open to the conclusion that you've come to. So even if you understand it as you believe emphatically right now, new information can change how you choose to perceive it. I've got that in my tagline. Every ounce of information that you hold, if you don't have the ability to question it, becomes a limiting belief. So what's worth believing? Nothing. Not even the conspiracies. What you have to truly start believing is how you feel about any given thing and what you're able to accomplish. Example, again, if the price of gas is way too high, how do I make more money? Well, I don't know. I've got a 9-to-5 job. I've got this. How am I supposed to know? There's all kinds of side hustles that you can get on the internet, on Upwork. You can go to ChatGPT and just be like, hey, I need to make some money working from home. Please give me some options. Right? And it's not about making money. It's not about being a prisoner of this. It's not about this, that, and the other thing. It's about being in a situation that allows you to utilize your brain and step more into the power that you know you should be holding. So it's not about doing the work. It's about becoming the person who solves the problem. And then from there, you get to solve new problems and higher problems. And this is called raising your frequency, raising your vibration, to the point where so many of the other problems don't necessarily exist. And if they do, they're there just simply for an experience. And that can be terrible experiences, enlightening experiences, but a positive comes from absolutely everything at all times, which is a strange thing to say, but it does. And again, anyone can pick that apart, right? But I'm talking about you, yourself, right now, and anyone that's had an issue that wants to challenge it. If you want to be on the show and talk about something and see if you can't work it out, reach out to us, info@the Mastery Alliance. We want to have you on the show. We're going to start putting out an actual autoresponder too. I will say this. There's a lot of people that apply to be on the show, but they are applying for an agency, and I understand, they're setting people up. But we're going to put an autoresponder out there to anyone that does want to sign up for the show, that we need to see a clip of you rating the show, that you're following the show and that you've rated the show. Because there's so many people that are just like, oh, we generic, fill in the blank here. Your podcast, our guest, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I just think that if that many people are going to email us, we should definitely attempt to not necessarily monetize on it, but at least have them rate the show. You want something from me? You want me to boost and promote your guy? Give us a shout out too. I think that's fair. I think that anyone that has a podcast should also do that. That was a bit of a tangent. Marcus L. from Toronto, I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, send us a DM. Maybe I can do one a little bit more in tune with you. Also, you can check out the chatbot on the mentalmasteryalliance.com and ask it the same question. Actually, you know what? Let's have a little bit of fun. I'm going to ask my chatbot the same question. This thing is supposed to be as programmable as me, supposed to be programmed as me. So I wonder if it would give us the same answer. And I'm talking slowly because apparently my internet is slow and doesn't want to hurry up. So now we're pasting it in here into the chat bot. And let's see what Chat Adam has to say about this question from Marcus in Toronto. When you start questioning everything, the instinct is to go find new things to believe. The real shift is this. Stop trying to believe more and start learning how to see better. You're not actually asking what's true out there. You're asking, what can I trust in here? A few things to ground this. Sorry about that. The screen's a little bit off. First, everything might be wrong. Is your nervous system talking, not reality. What's actually happening is this. Your old certainty is cracking, so all certainty feels suspect. That's normal. It's the detox phase. You don't need a new grand theory. You need a new way of relating to information. Here's a simple framework I use for myself and with clients. I start with felt truth, not claimed truth. School, media, religion. How life is supposed to work. All of that was installed before you knew you could say no. So now the question becomes, when I hear this idea, do I feel tension or expansion? Does my body clench, or do I feel a bit more awake, more honest, more here? That doesn't mean your body is a perfect lie detector, but it is an excellent bullshit early warning system. If something sounds right but feels off, flag it. Don't swallow it. Put it on a shelf and watch. 2, stop asking, is this true? Start asking, what does this do for me? 2 kinds of information. Info that makes you feel smaller, more afraid, more dependent, more hopeless. Info that makes you more responsible, more grounded, more capable, even if it's uncomfortable. You can't always know what's factually true in this clown world, but you can ask, when I live as if this is true, do I become more myself or less? Anything that repeatedly strips you of agency is not worth believing, even if it has facts behind it. Number 3, treat belief like tools, not identity. We were trained to be our own opinions. That's why changing your mind feels like dying. Try this instead. This is the model I'm using for now because it helps me navigate. If I outgrow, I'll swap it. Then you're not guarding beliefs like a fortress, you're testing them like gear. If a belief keeps you clear, kinder, stronger, and aligned, it's useful. If it keeps you looping, anxious, or outsourced to some authority, retire it. Number 4, look at who benefits from you believing it. Basic pattern spotting. Does this belief make me? It doesn't. So that was actually kind of cool. I've never actually answered a question with my bot, but that definitely sounded like me. This thing's a lot of fun to play with. Get out there and give it a shot, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's see here. Who was that? That was Marcus again. Okay. Question 4 here from Sophie, Vancouver, British Columbia. I've tried talking to friends and family about some of the things I'm realizing, and it doesn't go well. Either they shut it down or look at me like I'm crazy. Do I stop talking about it, or am I supposed to push through that discomfort? It depends on who the friend is. Sophie, I know a lot of it gets awkward as you progress through what it is that you're doing. And some of your friends are great, but some of your friends aren't helping you. Some of your friends give you an energy that doesn't exist, or that doesn't align with what it is that you're trying to do. And so some will, some won't. And the more you grow into what it is that you're doing, the more you also understand who you need to or don't need to have in your life. Who gets 100% of your energy, who gets 50. And the more people that you kind of move away from, that's more frequency and more room that you're creating for somebody who is certainly more in tune with and aligned with what it is that you want to become. And again, I fall back on, we're afraid to let go of the good to grab the great. But don't stress your friends. Allow them to be what they're going to be and utilize them to understand yourself a little bit better. Again, we find our contrast. You have to find out who you are. You have to find out first who you are not. And we have our final question from Evan D. in Manchester, United Kingdom. Welcome from across the pond. The hardest part for me isn't other people. It's my own mind. I can't shut it off anymore. I'm constantly analyzing, questioning, connecting things. It's exhausting. How do you live a normal life when your brain won't stop expanding? Well, this again comes back to verbiage. What's a normal life? A normal life was boring. And if a normal life wasn't boring, your brain wouldn't have caught fire. Right? All of these terrible things. I couldn't imagine being a quote-unquote normie and watching all of this stuff take place. I couldn't imagine seeing this and understanding this and comprehending this and being like, wow, this is terrible. I can't believe all of these things that are just so happenstantial or accidental or seem so random. You know, the more your brain catches fire, the more you understand things, the more you expand, the more it grows, the more you understand that there are no coincidences, that nothing is happening other than exactly what needs to happen, and that for the most part, everything that you're seeing and delivered to you is orchestrated. Everything's orchestrated. You know, I don't know what that means or how to parlay that, but I understand too that, you know, as your brain catches fire, you do lose sleep, but you then find outlets. The best piece of advice I can give you, Evan, is start blogging, because your brain is currently churning over 1,000 things inside your head. Right. And so back in the day, people would call it journaling, but men can't journal, can we, Evan? That's just for the ladies. Ooh, I love stereotypes myself. What's that other one? I love to lick lemon lollipops in Lillehammer. Some of you will pick up on that. Blog, journal, podcast, man. Because your brain will take an idea and just churn on it. And sometimes you can't get past it. But if you literally write it down and get it out, you're good. If you picture your brain like a giant cup of water, right? And the more you're understanding, the more your brain's constantly questioning, that cup of water is filling and filling and filling. And then when the cup of water is totally full and there's no evap and you haven't poured it out into a drink or anything like that, you don't know. And then it starts swirling and swirling and swirling. So now you have a little tornado inside your cup because it's spinning. Nothing's going anywhere. But if you take this and you create a blog, for example, well, now what you've done is you or a journal or a podcast, you now have taken that cup of water and you've poured it into another basin. And what I mean by that is that basin is where you can keep your reservoir, your stored water. And how this works is once you've put it out there and in a space where you can always see it, it's something you can go back to and it doesn't need to occupy your main cup. This is how you constantly refill your cup. Because you're creating something, you're taking your brain and you're creating. And every human, the happier the human is when they're creating. It's funny how this world is so ass backwards and everything, and all you see is destruction and division. We are at our most peak performance humans when we're creating, whether it's a podcast, whether it's art, whether it's creating movement, all of this stuff. You must create in order to stay alive. So again, my suggestion to you, Evan, is in your brain, write it all down. Write it all down, look at it, go over it. The more you put it out there, the more you comprehend it, the more it becomes part of something bigger than just you, and it allows you to bring more in. It's a fascinating thing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to this episode. This is a good mailbag, and like I said, tomorrow we will be coming back from Calgary. Lots of fun. I will leave you all with this. If the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Thank you, Red Green. I haven't heard hide nor hair from you, but we would still love to have you on the show.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways. But also, leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.